Good evening, everyone, and long live the habitual line steppers. This is Kev, and this is Black Men being brutally honest. Um, Another week has gone by. Wow, you know, know y'all see the thumbnail. Um, just want to address a few things. And I mean, this ain't necessarily got to do with anything that's been going on within the YouTube streets. I'm just gonna address a reservation that everyone has been having with the space. Excuse me. It's not like we are, you know, because um, I see other guys on the list of the manosphere and other content creators often having this gripe about what the other content creators are talking about. Some of the ones that get their attention, and that mostly the complaint, I mean, is with the men, in stating that the subject matter is repetitive, and we talk about females too much. We talk about women too much. Uh, and it is distracting from talking about other things, such as, hmm, I don't know, how to make money, how to increase wealth in your life, basically just centered around things like money and taking political control of this community, I guess. Or, you know, I mean, I guess I'm here to push for, common sense, knowing that there are some things that are going to help us, and there are certain things that aren't helping us. Um, and the sentiment is that they feel like certain individuals are not helping, because we do things such as address I don't know, the concerns and experiences that we are having with our people, many of which, you know, tends to lean toward the opposite sex. I mean, what do you guys expect from heterosexual men? This is something that we have been talking about literally our entire lives. Ever since we sprang pubes on our nuts, talking about girls. Shit. What I mean, it comes in many different forms, really. I mean, I would try to make it a little fun around here, just make maybe pulling up Google pics, talking about not pulling up pics of, obviously unattractive chicks, but pull up pics of attractive chicks. I might do that a little bit tonight just to ease the tension a little bit. But of course, I'm not trying to put you guys on game because, at my age right now, how can I relate to people as far as, picking up chicks or whatever? So if I do display it, uh, just know that I'm doing it out of respect for what my situation is, and it's to break and ease the tension that we all feel throughout these broadcasts. Because I have a couple of reservations about the broadcast myself, but it's not going to be to the point where I'm just trying to destroy the narratives of the Black manosphere by putting it in one narrow scope. I mean, I do believe that 90 to 93% of the Black manosphere is here because, they want to see things move forward and become better. It's a true. It's always with us as Black men. It's going to be that tremendous slander campaign. So what we have to do, and I'm not saying that I suggest everyone do this, is we have to make people understand that the distraction is not coming from us. The distraction is coming from all the haters. Because I mean, if they keep coming at us like this, we're not going to want to work with them. and they're not going to work with us. And I'm not talking about any other group of people. I'm not talking about the alphabet crew. I'm not talking about Asian people. I'm not talking about uh people overseas, even certain groups over here. I'm talking about us. I'm talking about the ADOS community, the foundational Black American community, the African American community, like all this. It's division all the way down. It's never it's never going to be somewhere in this community where there is not a division. For some, like it's fucked up, but that's just the way it is, unfortunately. And and what will have us deal with the division that we feel from the from it can be as much. It can be something like rival basketball teams down to whatever neighborhood you stay in. But the division that we seem to see most prevalent is the division between the genders, black men and black women. And it's damaging. People take it lightly, say, I could just say, hey, I could just say, fuck off. And, you know, I could just go make some money over here. But it's always going to be to some point where um, you're thinking about the opposite sex if you're heterosexual, at least. You're going to run into a problem or two, and you're going to want to know how to solve it. It's not simping to find that special someone, but especially within our black race, is I don't know, is like a, eh, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, we're all adults here. We're all adults here. You know, pretty soon, if this keeps up, ain't nobody gonna be finding no special someone nowhere within this race. And there's a lot of people that's within this race that want to get together. And some people are trying to force it, and it's causing a bad reaction. No, it has to be authentic, it has to be real. And one thing that I would say that is common sense, one thing that I've learned throughout my years of living is that I have to remove myself from what everyone else is saying. I have to go with my heart, and I have to go with what feels good, not what feels bad. What I believe is right, what makes the most sense. But everybody's not going to do that. Everybody isn't the same. I also have to consider that, and that's what all of you have to consider as well. Everyone isn't the same. We have this thing in the black community. We have this hive mentality. Well, for those of us, I'm trying to give you a scope. You don't have to consider it a community, because I know a lot of people who watch this program don't. But anyway, just to uh, just to remind you, as you come into this broadcast, or even if you're watching it later on, you catching the replay, go ahead and hit the like button, and hit the dislike too if you're that kind of person, because I celebrate those. But I do understand that there is somewhat of a tiny little psychological and, I would say, spiritual war against black men. And I don't want to sound like one of these little TV feminists, and we say stuff like, "Oh, we have to fight the world," because they say it so much. It's not that we have to fight the world. We have to fight the enemy within. The enemy within. And I'm not going to necessarily talk about the ones that try to fight us, because we understand what that is. We've seen it so many times. We've seen it on this platform. You've seen a lot of YouTube channels, black men this, black men that. But with black men, we gotta. And this is what I I see. I see us trying to shift the conversation into dealing with ourselves as black men, which is the most important. You know, how to deal with the younger crowd. I mean, I understand that a lot of them don't have much to say to us, for real. A lot of us, a lot of them resent us. You know, the millennials and the Generation Z's and whoever else. Like, I personally don't care. I do a little bit, cause you have to. Yeah, you know, I feel that sense of brotherhood. I know everyone doesn't feel that sense of brotherhood with me. I get that. No, you know, nobody's perfect, and I would like to see more of it. But it's just what I would like to see. Some people like to see chaos, blood, just debauchery. Or is it debauchery? I don't know. I mean, Toya the tutor would know how to pronounce that properly. But yeah, we black men we gonna have to start facing each other one day. I mean, I get the women, I do, and personally, I am tired of hearing people come up to their platforms and you know, and this is not our fault in the black manosphere. A lot of guys just coming up to their platforms. Oh, these dudes can talk about it's bitches and how they not getting bitches and they just upset and angry. They some beta males. Yeah, I'm gonna talk about that Ryan Davis tomorrow night. You know, I saw that, and it's the usual bullshit. It's the usual bullshit. This what, yeah. In that situation, also as it relates to the constant attack, you know, the constant warring against black men. See, I'm willing to try to hash it out. That's always my first reaction because I keep hearing, you know, black men this, black men that. I mean, cool, cool is whatever, because I do understand that there are things with black men that we have to deal with because for that type of sentiment to gain so much momentum, it means that black men haven't been defending, excuse me, themselves enough, or even that there are black men that are weakening the foundation by attacking other black men. Now, I'm not saying that just defend the black man just because he a black man, because that is exactly what is wrong with the other gender, and that is what I feel makes them blind. Not not all, not all of them are like that. You know, there are actually some that have their eyes open, but that number is shrinking as the the generations just pass us by. It's the number of sensible ones are shrinking, but there's a lot of nut cases with us black men. You know, go out in public. Can you speak to every black man without there being a 50% chance there might be a negative reaction? I mean, not so much a negative reaction. You know, go out and make eye contact and speak to every black man you see. And I mean, like, you know, if you're secure about yourself, man, don't worry about the bullshit that other people might think. Just you know, what up, brother? You know, because that you got to understand that that man has the same experience you have every day, day in and day out, day in and day out. I understand that. That's why I try to be at least cordial with every brother I see. This is what I do in my life. You know, I know I understand that I've said in the past that you know if I only really like to speak to people at Walmart, but when I'm in a position to where I have to speak to someone, or they just like you know people can be standing in the aisle waiting to make their purchase, and brother could just make a smart alecky remark or something about something you see on the magazine stand, and you know, I just play off that comment. Just you know, let you know, let people know, like not so much people around it, but have that feeling of solidarity. You know, not so much to let the world know that it's okay with some black men, but for black men to be genuinely okay with each other. Because every time I hear something about black men in these media streets, that's not some scripted television show. Which a lot of that shit's pretty bad too. I'll tell you that much. There's always some negative bullshit, you know. And I know that a lot of those times we as black men don't control those narratives, but a lot of those times we control the actions that they're reporting on. You know, the BW is tired of us reporting on them, and every time I would say, stop giving shit for niggas to report on. I tell people like that straight up. But the same thing go for us. I mean, for those of you who care about turning around your image with other groups, I mean, stop giving them stuff to report. I personally don't care because I understand other groups have their mind made up and they're gonna bullshit and vouch for their own groups more than we're ever they're ever gonna vouch for us because I don't understand this little bullshit mentality that people have like black men in the world don't respect you. Everybody gonna think their group is the best though. Asians are gonna think Asians are the best. Africans are gonna think Africans are the best. Believe that. Europeans are gonna think Europeans are the best. This shouldn't be a big shocker to you guys. White people in America are going to think white people in America are the best. Now, what do black people in America think about each other? You think about that for a second. Now, make narrow that down a little bit more. What do black men think of each other? We say a lot of this shit about a lot of what is being said about black men and who's really responsible for a lot of things and accountability this and accountability that. But think about it. Think about it. What do black men think of black men? Period. Now, don't some of your mind is going to go toward the little simp direction. Oh yeah, these simps always be trying to impress these females. No, not talking about that. Not tonight. That'll be another night where I feel like having a few laughs. But generally, what do black men think of black men? I've gone through it in one way or another on this channel. Oh, and the whole thing is about the behavior of black men toward each other. Not yet. I see Street Fighter 88 is down there. What's going on? He said, "Don't give them ammo." It's not about giving other groups ammo for us. Even these little bullshit YouTube channels that always is like they made views and they've made money making a mockery of black men. And it's strangely enough for all the black men who come up to the platforms and complain about what black men talk about and never say anything about that. Those dudes, they go over there and laugh with the people who are making a mockery of black men. And that's like one of the things I'm talking about. You can have your opinion on anything you want. You can have your opinion of me, and that's your right. But what I'm trying to make, black men in particular, especially, understand is you do have a right to respond. Don't psych yourself out. Don't be like, oh well, if I say something about that particular person, that's gonna give them more power. Well, we know where the balance is leaning toward, and what you're around for, and what I'm around for, is the day that the balance shifts. And when that balance shifts, people will know that I was always on that shit, on the common sense, on what could possibly be better for us as a people. And understand this: if I criticize certain behaviors in the past, it is all one big pretty picture. Like, let me pull one out real quick. When I discuss something like Highlander complex, it's Highlander complex. Some people say Highlander syndrome, which is the same context. Highlander syndrome is a physical affliction. It's like you don't grow past 10 years old physically, kind of like Emmanuel Lewis and Gary Coleman. So that's Highlander syndrome. What I'm going to talk about is Highlander complex. There can be only one. Like there 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 can't be multiple great people. There can only be like one great person. And what I believe is the meltdown in the particularly the black manosphere, because there's a lot of guys that's like, oh man, this is the black manosphere this, the black manosphere that, and that is their right. If it sounds fucked up or not, if it's on some bullshit, if they're lying, if they're making goddamn sense, that's their right. Believe me, it's my right to respond. It's anybody's right to respond. And you don't have to make it a cursing fest. Even if they're cursing at you, you could just, they could just expose themselves to the world. I mean, don't do that shit with me. I have different ways of doing things. But until that happens, I can't show you, and it's just shit talking. Until you show somebody, it's just shit talking, period. And I do get it. People have that complaint about this space, about how it's just shit talking about hoes. See, but I mean, but it's a bullshit complaint. The talk about hoes part, I mean, is a bullshit complaint because everybody talk about hoes. Everybody literally talks about hoes. That's why they're so popular. That's why they got thousands upon thousands of followers on Instagram, and they got all these OnlyFans accounts. And although we have our reservations about people like Megan Thee Stallion, she's immensely popular. So why in the fuck are people complaining about people talking about hoes? Oh, when black men do it, blah blah blah. We should be trying to save the black community. That's what I was talking about last week, nigga. Everybody wants somebody to save the black community. Save your goddamn self. It'll be easier to save. Save the cooperative. Cooperate with each other. I've said all this shit, but no, you want to stick to your little Highlander complex. Your little I'm the man. The HNIC. These niggas ain't shit. Hey, yeah, I'm telling you right now, you hard to listen to. Some of y'all are very hard to listen to. I know that, and people may think the same thing of me. I had a guy tell me, Kevin, you became harder to listen to. I used to listen, man, but I don't listen to that bullshit anymore. You became harder to listen to. And then you know what though? And I didn't explode in anger because I understand I can't win everyone. I don't have the mentality of just chewing a motherfucker out and just melting down to the ground and saying, fuck you, man, for saying that. I don't. People are going to say you suck, man. Damn, you suck. I mean, I don't care. I mean, somebody watching right now can say it. I still don't care. Moderator wrenches are active because I am a bit vindictive, though. I'll tell you that much. And I hear that's a trait of a Virgo. Virgos are very vindictive, but that's off topic. Black men, do we have to do better? Some arguments could be made. I'll say that. I'm not here to make all those arguments like, all you guys talk about is what woman hurt you or whatever, because you should be able to vent about that. Who the fuck cares? I mean, if you care about your viewership, that may be a different story. But if you want to spit it out, spit it out. If you want to talk about how, if you want to make the argument that the family dynamic works, it's better to get married. Make that argument. Make it make sense. If you want to make the argument that the family dynamic doesn't work, and it's better to just, you know, pun intended, it's better to just pump and dump. You can make that argument too. That's what it's here for. And besides a few haters that disagree, there are the many that agree. For every one person that hates you, there's 10 people that like you. I guarantee it. So when that person said to me, "Man, you became hard as fuck to listen to," I brushed it off literally. I had to. And it was a dude that I was cool with. It wasn't like it was some old troll on social media. And then I understood that I said something to this guy too. Because I believe a lot of y'all scared of these women. I do. I gotta say it when I see it. Because this dude was trying to make the argument that the black manospheres are just into crotch politics. The usual bullshit argument. Somebody tried to argue me down yesterday that the lead attorney wasn't really an attorney. I was like, God damn, y'all stupid. I ain't say God damn, y'all stupid on the post. I just basically said, yes, he is. He's been practicing family law for 20 years. But I get accused of dick riding. The usual shit. I mean, it's the usual. I mean, and you have to deal with it. You have to deal with this war against you if you're a black man. All right. See, we got a super chat by Cowboys Nation 22, and he probably tried to type a message, but he gave me a super chat. So thank you very much. Yeah, sometimes my super chats be like that too because I be saying crazy stuff in chats. They won't let me type anything. But if I felt the message enough, I would definitely do give something. But that's cool stuff, man. I really appreciate that. I really do. So anyway, oh man, what was I saying? What was I saying? Yeah, something about black men or whatever, whatever. And if you are, I'll say this: if you are a content creator and you are a black man, black male, you know, masculine, whatever, uh, and you deny the existence of bitch ass niggas, I know I got a yellow dollar sign on this broadcast right now. Anyway, it always happens. If you deny the existence of bitch ass niggas, you are just as bad as all those sisterhood chicks that have all those channel shit on black men. You can't deny this. Period. That's part of the problem right there, whether we like it or not. I mean, and at some point it has to become a point of focus because I've dealt with bitch ass niggas in my life. I know they exist. You know what I'm saying? I don't go in like Ryan Davis did. I'm not gonna do no shit like that. But at the same time, I get it. I get it. You might be pointing the fingers in the wrong direction, but yeah, they are out there. They are out there. They do little stupid shit like act like they don't have any time in the world, but fuck with you while you over here handling business. Just like I was all week handling goddamn business. Damn, I had a long week. But when you want shit in life, you got to work hard for it. That's why we don't need to be in each other's way. But you got them bitch ass niggas though. Shit, we hear what's going on. I'm gonna start shouting the chat out real quick. Cause I mean, it's like this. It's like these what's wrong with black people broadcasts. They do get numerous, but it ain't like shit. Like it's a bullshit mentality everywhere you go, and it's got to be dealt with. Sorry, that's what it is. We don't live in a we don't live in a bullshit free world. And then until that one fucking day happens to where we live in a bullshit free world, then I don't think these broadcasts are ever going to stop, whether they come from a male or a female. But black men, please understand and believe It's about your execution of said broadcast. All right. See what we got here. I said Toya the tutor. All right. Always a pleasure. Charles Faulkner Jr. Woo. Yeah. Toya. Primetime VA. Roguish the Billmonger. Phil Brad, what's going on? Phil Brad is here every episode, every broadcast. Uh, thought that I would acknowledge that. Ryan Davis ain't been seen with a baddie yet. Probably because of them tiny ass shoulders. I was gonna say that one for tomorrow night. Um, the Roger Report, my habitual line stepper brother. Yeah, you and Dolph Skater is up in here tonight. Street Fighter '88. Black men need to stop putting diamonds in their heads. To my little Uzi Vert. Yeah, that was some stupid shit. I mean, $24 million in your forehead, man. Oh, you must be the calmest nigga on the planet because you ain't fighting nobody. Nobody nowhere. You got a goddamn diamond in the middle of your head like Thanos finna come after you. Like the fuck like I mean, it's whatever. They got the freedom to do what they want. This is somebody had to let me know the other day that it was 2021. So everybody's just doing everything right now. And you know what? I don't have to like it. And I don't like a lot of it, but hey, if somebody wants to put a $24 million diamond in their head just to get that motherfucker snatched off because he's probably doing lots of drugs around folks and alcohol, then fuck it, that's him, you know. But you got to have a lot of goddamn money to to go around wanting to look like you fucking Wanda. Like seriously, shoot. DJ B side 1965. The Village Arsonist TV was going on. One of my patrons. Yes, I do have a Patreon. Building that up once I get out of this busy stage, on and popping on Patreon. It's just to let y'all this my Patreon, I'm gonna do it a little different than other people. It's gonna be my appreciation of you guys. So when the exclusive content happens, it's going to be exclusive, which means that it's going to be a bit more explicit. Meaning that if I have some shit to address, like I'll probably do little 5 minute pops here and there. So, but they'll be special. But you can join them for three rates: $5, $10, and $20. You can do five, and I'll drop the link periodically. I just wanted to let everyone know who's watching that there is the existence of that Patreon. So just be on the lookout. And yeah, go to my community tab. That's where a lot of the subs seem to go to check out. Excuse me, to check out the latest updates on what's going on. So check out. Hurry up and buy what's going on. Oh, Donnie. Oh shit. It's four of us. Must be a special occasion. See, I'm gonna drop the link in a moment. I sent y'all the link actually. So I mean, just if y'all want to come up, come up. Or else I will continue. Hold on one second. Let me. Uh, yeah, but anyway, just to continue for a little bit, uh, what I'll say this: what I identify as a beta, probably what y'all identify as a beta. I just really say that you, I believe that a lot of you guys just point the finger in the wrong direction, and a beta isn't like. I mean, let's give context here. Um, it's not a guy who disagrees with females. I mean, on some real shit. We'll give it. You will give it that context. It's not a grown ass man with an opinion who disagrees with a female opinion, grown ass or not, who is on some real shit. I mean, I understand why I get negative reactions, and that's where my accountability comes in because I say it in a very harsh way. I mean, I know I don't necessarily get like that up here on YouTube. Those have been very rare occasions, but in on other platforms, it's just on and popping like that. Cause I mean, I can't, I don't, I don't act well in an environment full of stupid people, whom I view as stupid people. Stupid, yeah, yeah. If you see some of the shit that I see, that I actually pay attention to sometimes, it's stupid as fuck. And it's like, and I have some, I must have an addiction to it or something because I keep seeing it and I keep looking at it. Or I don't know, maybe it comes from a place where my eyes are open and I see a lot of it. Because I have been accused of just going to look for the negativity. But my thing is, if this mentality continues, then if this mentality continues, then it's going to affect the ones of us that have kids. Now, if you don't have kids and you're not worried about this, you're a selfish motherfucker. I mean, and maybe that's fair. Maybe that's fair. But for those of us that do have children, we should be concerned. As black, I'm addressing black men because see, here's the thing with addressing black women. Black women are going to have to address black women one day. I know it doesn't happen. I know they avoid it as much as possible, but they're going to have to they're going to have to address each other on some real shit. It's not for me to tell them what to do. It's quite entertaining to see the meltdowns, and I think that's a lot of us brothers' problems. You know, we see the meltdowns and we believe it's funny and we stick around for them and it is straight comedy to us and and we take it with a grain of salt. But see, you can't get too far into that because you have to understand these same dumbass broads have children. And for real, that mentality being infused into that child, I worry about the future, especially the sons. For real, watch the first 48. Watch any of these little cop series drama documentary, and when the black teenager gets in trouble for shooting someone, or who is the first person they call? About I swear 99.9% of the time. That should prove it to you right there. I mean, I don't necessarily trust mainstream media, but it was like I said earlier, stop giving them shit to report. And I think that's where Street Fighter 88 was getting at. I stop giving them shit to report. I mean, black men, if we are tired of the negative narratives against us, then this that the point I just made, that made that shit out of our hands anyway. We can just hope for the best with our children or ourselves. But be able, if we're going to be on this level of accountability, and I do agree with this sentiment, and we're going to be on that level of accountability, and we're going to hold anybody accountable, we need to be accountable for ourselves at all times, period. A lot of this stuff comes from the females. But here's the thing, and I had to think about this in a lot of the things I experienced growing up. I'm gonna use myself as an example. I know you can't just boil this down to yourself all the time, but if I'm gonna be speaking this shit, I need to be at least telling you guys. I understood that whatever happened to me, and thank God nothing really seriously traumatic happened. I mean, the heaviest thing was me having cancer as a teenager. That was about it. because you like for real, we're lucky over here in America in this day and age. We really don't go through shit. It's like a lot of this shit is in our heads. But to the point I was just trying to make was after I got a certain age, I understood that I had to be responsible for myself and the decisions that I made, especially especially with my attitude. People don't understand how much control that they actually have over their own attitudes. And I understood when I got good and grown, when I got good and grown, that I had to decide some things for myself. Whatever happened, this I decided this earlier because this is a lot of complaining, but that people do that. Oh, some girl hurt you in high school. That's why you up here on social media. And let's be literal about it for just a second. If you are a grown man that is affected by a girl in high school that broke your heart, say you were 16, you met her, you held hands for 2 days, and then all of a sudden the football player came and smacked her on the ass, and then before you can lift your finger and point and say, "Hey, buddy, that's my girl," they got their tongue in each other's mouths. It was 2 days, buddy. It was 2 days. Let it go. If that's what's going on. But I just believe that people, when they say that, they just be full of it. They just want to say bullshit. You know, a lot of that shit that come at us, now that I've acknowledged all of the weirdos, is that a lot of that shit comes from pettiness. A lot of that shit comes from places that other people have fallen short on and just wants to lash out and point the finger in the direction of black men who were supposed to lead the community. Leading what? You tell me what the fuck were we supposed to lead you into that our fathers and us as fathers haven't already done? Because you want to make everyone believe that that black men are not great fathers when that is complete bull. I mean, stop sharing baby daddies if you feel that way. Make sure your baby daddy is all yours. And you will stop feeling that way about black fatherhood for those females out there. And if y'all know some females that own that bullshit, you tell them that. You tell them. You can even tell them that I said it. If you're afraid to take responsibility for saying it, tell them. Tell them dumb ass broads to stop sharing baby daddies. It's that simple. The frustration will be cut in half. I'll say that much because being in a couple is a challenge. It is. You have to deal with a whole nother person that is a grown up, hopefully, for some of you. It's not easy. It's not even dealing with another person. Like I said about the Walmart comment I make. Every time I go inside a Walmart, I want to speak to everybody. I know I said that about black men. Look, I try to be, as cordial as possible, but that's with anybody too. Actually, my favorite group of people are older black women. They're funny, they're wise, and they are easy as fuck to talk to. Not on that sick shit. People always mine always going to sex and all that stuff. But you know what? I'm talking about like in the 50 plus, 60 plus category. Those women. They're so nice and they're so settled in. And a lot of those women been through a lot in their lives. But they are such good people if you give them a chance. And like I can charm the hell out of them. I can tell a joke, put a smile on their face, and it'll be all good. It'll make my day being knowing that I was able to at least, put a smile on someone's face. There's nothing wrong with that. Try it. As far as dealing with, I can't even say it's black men myself. I got the few people I'm cool with. I do. I have the full. I have the few people I'm cool with that are black men. But I think all of us are like that. I think that a lot of us that have common sense that can identify that there's a little war going on between black men. I mean, shit. A lot of us can't go in certain neighborhoods. Some black men can't go in neighborhoods with other black men. And I'm not even talking necessarily about, you know, rival gangs or some people on some beef shit. I'm talking about random ass shit. There are parts of town I wouldn't walk in. I mean, shit, maybe in my younger days, because I ain't give a fuck in my younger days, but shit I got to lose now. Shit, I think all of us who have produced something don't want to get caught up in stupid ass situations. But you know what? Sometimes those things can't be helped. And it's a shame because, we say things like, and I will always say things like that, we need to raise our children better. And I don't give a fuck how that makes you feel as a parent. Because if you're doing a good job, you shouldn't feel no way about anybody saying that you need to do a better job as a parent. If you take offense to it, you must be fucking up as a parent. And that is really a disservice to your child. Seriously, male or female. So today, why would you want to volunteer to get a stroke or a brain aneurysm from worrying about other people's fuckery? At some point, we just have to love ourselves and say enough to say fuck it. It is what it is. Sure. I mean, but plenty of us tried that. Plenty of us have, and what I'm saying is, it's not faring well for our image. I mean, I'm not saying that as far as what everyone else says. I'm saying this based on what I see. The dog and pony show has to stop. By what I mean by the dog and pony show is behaving for other groups, but not thinking that we're good enough to behave for ourselves as blacks. You should play extra reverence. That's why, like I said, to put it together, I show cordiality to black men when the situation calls for it. I don't think that every black man is going to be on some bullshit. Due to my experience, I don't have any reason to believe that most of the black men that I run into is going to be problematic. It just doesn't happen like that. And, and a lot of these guys who find a lot of problematic black men, in their lives, they go looking for that shit. They try to stick their chests out. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Nobody gonna mess with me. I get it. I get it. Some people have defenses. Some people have defenses like that. Some people don't want you to look them in the eye. What's your problem, man? I've run in a couple of things that would. I'm like, what? Shit. You know, I get it. Some people are like that. You don't have to be. You don't have to be all confrontational. You don't have to be angry at all times. You don't have to be that. You can choose to be that all day. Yeah, but I try to be cordial. No, no. I'm not gonna sit here and call myself a nice guy or a good guy. I explained that a long time ago. Often people who are considered nice guys and good guys do not call themselves nice guys or good guys. It's always other people doing it. And it seems to be to that person's social detriment at times. I've said this before. Some of you weren't watching me then, so you know it's the first time you hear me saying it. That was the case with me growing up, especially when I hit public school from private school. Oh, you're a good guy. You're a nice guy. Like, okay, whatever. you know. Then for a period in my young life, I got caught up in the whole, if I'm not nice, then if I'm not nice, then maybe females will pay attention because I was the one that kept hearing that early in my life. You don't be too nice to these females. And then I would make a fool of myself because it wasn't genuine. It wasn't a genuine execution. I wasn't like that. And every time I tried to do it, people saw right through it. So I decided to be myself. And one day it produced a better result. Shit, you know. That's how I look at it. I don't try to be confrontational. I try to always choose the best case scenario first. And if the best case scenario results in me chilling by myself, not dealing with you niggas, that's what it's going to be. Bro Rob, he says, what about the comedian? What about the people that are doing real work in our community? That's why you shouldn't say fuck it. I've already said that. I was like, the part where I said save the cooperative, saving yourself would make saving the black community a lot easier. Lessens the effort on a few people, and many hands make light work. That kind of deal. So yeah, you can acknowledge the people that are doing good in the community, and for people who are melanated. I 100% agree with that. you know and I may be more on the not fuck it side than the fuck it side. you know that's because if I were completely on the fuck it side, I got to tell you the truth, I got to be brutally honest, I probably wouldn't be on social media. I'd probably be sitting there watching a movie right now saying fuck it. A lot of people come up to this platform and say fuck it, let's just talk. These niggas this, these hoes that. And don't act like y'all ain't going to them broadcasts either, yucking it up. I mean, you can watch whoever you want to watch. I'm not spitting sour pickles about anyone, and I would never tell you not to watch anyone. Have I ever said not to watch Cynthia G? Have I ever said not to watch Taz? Have I ever said that? I would more so worry about you watching me than you watching someone else, whatever message they have. And you don't. I also have this crazy idea that you really don't own anyone. That people do what they want to do. So, I mean, for everybody that's watching right now, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. I know I can be an a hole, but hey, that actually attracts viewership. So, anyway, long live the habitual lion steppers. All right, Mr. Z, what's going on? I see you down there. Let me see if I can do this real quick. Let's see what I was waiting for one of these guys to come up, but let's see. See if I can find a link. I should have these things prepared. You know, success favors the prepared. Um, yeah, I'll just drop the link in the chat. Yeah, Judeo, Jesus came to save folks. Look at what they did to him. Lesson learned. These people don't want to be saved. The will they will pull you down into the abyss. SYSBM. If you surround yourself with too many people too quick, you will leave yourself vulnerable. And unfortunately, that's with us, blacks. Seriously. Unfortunately. Because and I can truly say that this is one of the things that's not isolated to just blacks, but I would rather see us do better with this kind of thing than other groups of people. But yeah, when you surround yourself with too many people too quick, there are going to be those that want to pull you down. Some of the time. The other time it'll be your family and your friends. Unfortunately, yeah, the black men in your family, some of the women too, will do what they can to pull you down and discourage you. Yeah, that person that told me that what I told earlier, what I told you earlier, the person that said that you just became harder to listen to, so I don't listen to you anymore. That was a person that I consider to be like a brother to me. It'll always be your family members and your friends first. And if I do have a family member listen secretly or whatever, or it is what it is. That's the part you got to say. It is what it is. Though you can't, as a black man especially, rely on moral support from family members. Some families are cool like that. I'm not gonna say you know your family better than you know your family better than I do. But I know that what I see is when you see some celebrities, you don't see black celebrities especially. You don't see many brothers or cousins around. Behind the scenes. I mean, the only time you see brothers and cousins around if they're famous too. Like examples like Joe and Guy Torry or the Wayans brothers. You know, people like that. Outside of that, if you have a family member that may not be as bright a light as you are, I wouldn't expect that much support from that person if they're not on the same shit that you're on. Um, like I say, I don't know everybody's family. If your family is your biggest supporter in something that isn't really a conventional idea, then hey, you're the exception. I just know like these kind of conversations, like I couldn't really do them with I would say the black people, especially black men that I grew up around. A couple maybe. A couple black women, yeah. My mother, I was able to have these conversations with her. Seriously, for real. I used to talk just like this with my mother. The way I talk on this YouTube channel, I was able to communicate with my mother like this. Hell, my father too. So people asking me, hey, you know what? Would your parents approve of you talking like this? They don't have to. That'll be my answer. They ain't got to, but they know I talk like this. Some of your parents don't. Some of y'all 50 years old, y'all parents, those who still alive don't. Shit. Hey, shit. I come up here as a grown up. All right. We're in an hour. Indigenous TV. I want to know what it's like for those who continue to believe that the black community is still worth fighting for. There's peace and acceptance. SYSBM, Krypton, a new start elsewhere. So Indigenous TV. So it's interesting that you say a new start somewhere else. Where and who? Who are you starting this new start with? Where are you going to do it? Or you're just gonna just are you just gonna are you free to roam the world, encompassing the concept of what SYSBM is supposed to be, saving yourself? Because I imagine when I was younger, I imagined a life like that. I mean, SYSBM is not quite that severe as being a hermit. I'm not shitting on SYSBM when I say this. I used to imagine being a hermit. What would life be like for me to be a hermit? Because in order for me to be kind of a successful hermit, I would say I would have to learn how to live off the fat of the land, meaning that I would have to grow my own food, raise it, raise my own food too, maybe, you know, cows, chickens, or whatever, and just live the whole life alone without electricity. Have to have a water well, build a house made from the wood of the trees, like a log cabin or something with a fireplace. Truly saving yourself by being completely 100% self efficient. So when you say stuff like save yourself, is it financially? Is because see, if you're going to travel and if you're going to go to other places, you are still under their jurisdiction, their laws, under the protections of their government. Granted, that's the situation. If you're not running from something, of course. The only way to seem like you can save yourself in the current situation of society, and I don't mean to get too dark, is death. You're plugged in. Unless you intend to be a hermit, and like I said, this may not be the concept of save yourself, black man. It's and believe me, this may come from a place of a lack of understanding. You probably have to be like a hermit. You have to be completely self sufficient. Fish, hunt, all that shit. Grow food. So I mean, think about that stuff. Think about the literal meaning of stuff before I like to think about shit before I sign up with it. I had to think about black men being brutally honest before I actually came up with that saying. you know, I would say being brutally honest would be much easier to execute than to be completely self sufficient, to completely save yourself. If you believe in God, you can't truly save yourself anyway. If you don't believe in God, you have to believe in logic. You have to believe in something. Just saying, that's more on a philosophical tip. But the innovator of SYSBM got all those concepts, all those tenets down. There's some tenets to SYSBM. That's much more in depth. It's more than me reflecting on the literal meaning of words, I would say. So don't be offended. Don't be. Let me drop this link. And believe me, nobody coming up here with that bullshit. I could do the troll catcher, but there's other ways to get around that. So right. See, black men, if you hit that link, know that there are people at war with you. Okay, so we have to work and discuss to understand how we get around those things, when dealing with each other. Cause wow, I mean, if we don't deal with it, that it is going to be something that it's going to be something that we're not going to be able to ignore. Mm, yeah. So I'm going to give this a little bit. Shout out to let's see, Indigenous TV. Let me address this. Save yourself culturally, financially, politically, and beyond. The culture that has the mind of the black community is something we as black men have to divorce ourselves from. Mm, yeah, I do agree that we might need to seek other options besides always voting Democrat. I would say that. I would say that. For the anti-vaxxers, that might become a problem. I mean, and I'm gonna go on record of saying that I still have not taken the vaccine. I mean, if people want to say I'm stupid for that, then I will probably say to them, "Will it stop me from getting the virus?" And I'm not making fun of people because I see Charles Faulkner down there, and Charles Faulkner had COVID, and he's one of those ones that could make that point, that argument. Attorney Dennis Sperling can as well. I'm not gonna. I don't. I here's the thing. I don't like the whole idea of it dividing people with the people who've taken the vaccine and the anti-vaxxers, because it's like one is attacking the other one. I'm not going to accuse one of attacking the other more, but it's definitely dividing our people. And I do understand that as a black man, I can clearly see that, the whole goal to get Joe Biden in office, and this is what a lot of us said as blacks, was we wanted love and unity back in our country. Our country had to heal. And I don't see any healing at all. I see people becoming more and more divided. And I mean, like, there's no swipe at the liberals, because I mean, if any of y'all follow me on Facebook, I swipe at liberals quite often. I mean, but those people need to understand that I don't care about either party at all. I mean, I understand. I understand that culturally we have to do something different, because basically, it in America, our culture was handed to us. It was handed to us. It was images that we saw and adapting to the environment that we were in. That, I mean, and it was a long, tenuous, slightly powerful, very dubious evolution. So, do we truly have a culture as blacks in Western culture? So, a little redundancy there. Do we truly have a culture that we came up with, or was our culture handed to us, and then here's what it is. Here's what I believe. Our culture was handed to us, but we shaped it and molded it into something that we could use. Something that, something that was for us. We customized it. It still didn't come from us, but we customized it for ourselves, and we made it work because we're just that cool. COOL. Yes, we are. We are just that cool. We're the shit, black men, and we have to accept that one day. Many of us don't. Many of us, many of us would rather attack our fathers for whatever they didn't do when they had the chance. I mean, shit. It's about. I gotta go ahead and say it's about time we leave the boomers alone. Say what you want to about Gen X. We chilling. I mean, this is. I mean, what for? I mean, is okay. Like that little piece I said earlier. I decided after a certain age that I had to make all the decisions for myself. And in other words, I had to decide to be a man. Not my own parents couldn't decide to be a man for me. So, so you can make any decision that you want. So all that messing with the boomers for what you felt like they didn't do, that's over with. You got some new challenges ahead. We all do. That we got to pay attention to ourselves. Shoot. So it's time to leave the boomers alone. It's time. It's time. I'm sorry. You say, I mean, see it. Because, see, here's the thing, the boomers are now our elders. Now, if they come to you disrespectful, you treat them like any person coming at you disrespectful. But a lot of these guys don't. Some of you guys are knuckleheads out here. I still have knucklehead moments, believe it or not. I don't display them very often, but I still have knucklehead moments. But there's still that thing called accountability. We as men, we have a sense of self, a sense of pride that we don't want violated by someone proving us wrong on a stance about something. So it becomes a conflict, and sometimes that shit's stupid. That's why I don't go at people in a childish way because I sure hate to be the stupid one in a situation. I go back to a lot of shit that I used to say, and I was like, wow, I would have said that differently. Sometimes you're gonna have to admit that shit too. Yeah, everyone gets out of pocket. Everyone a little bit. Every all in age groups. I mean, depends on your temperament. There are some good people out here that don't have that kind of temperament. That have patience. I mean, due to my life experiences, shit, I don't have very much patience. Shoot, but that doesn't mean you have to be impatient. Yeah, yeah. Peter Frank, the guy with two first names, with a German Shepherd that looks like that he could sniff out my weed. Um, the most problematic generation in Black America are the Gen X generation. You guys have created, you guys have created talking points to make yourselves comfortable cowards. Okay, comfortable cowards. I get that. I get that. You know, damn you, motherfucker! Goddamn. No, I'm just playing. I wouldn't say we were the most problematic. I would say, like I said, the stupidity is across the board. Now, if you want to say it's Gen X, it's Gen X. It's your opinion. It is whatever. If it, let's put it to you like this: in order for us to win, we have to beat technology. We have to beat technology, literally. There's too much technology out here, man. They know where all of us are. They can come up with personality profiles. See, this is what you have to think about. This is the kind of stuff they teach you in like tech classes. If they want to take you out, they could. See, you have to figure your way around that. You have to be smart. We have to use more of our brain. We got all the brawn, but shit, what good is that against some heavy artillery? I'm talking about like bullets and missiles and exploding robots. See, you younger guys ain't smart. What you gonna do? Take a baseball bat and wrapped in barbed wire and just start swinging? Go ahead and do that. I'm just saying, use a little intelligence. Or those comfortable cowards are going to look at you running into a fight that you are going to lose because you're shitting all over them. I know I can't get cooperation from people that I shit on. That is out the window. Period. So I get it. I get it. I get tired of some Gen Xers too. Shit. I've said several times some of us Gen Xers get out of pocket. Some of us act like we're millennials. Shit. That we need to get on our square instead of getting our shit off. Yeah. So I agree with you somewhat. I agree with you. But hey, it is what it is, as old boy said earlier. Did they owe some of these things for the dollar? Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. A lot of bullshit. Drama attracts a lot of attention, a lot of negative publicity. Negative publicity is still publicity, and it'll always be a good thing. It'll always be a good thing. As long as you get that attention, as long as you get the eyes on you, hey, you know what? That's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. And I mean, shoot, I don't blame anyone for going out there making their money. Boomer, Gen X, Millennial, Gen Z, hey, make your money. Get all you can in this life, especially if you're a black man. I've been sipping on the same beer for an hour. I'm not a heavy drinker, but let me check something out real quick. Oh, I got 32 likes. I wonder, do I have a dislike? Hold on 1 second. Let me see. Mm-mm. Oh, no dislikes. All right, no dislikes. I guess everybody likes me out there. Yeah, but I got 32 likes and I got 25 watching. So hey, that's a pretty good ratio. Um, thanks for helping me out there with that. With those likes. But if you're watching it and you haven't, please hit that like button. Please hit that like button. Black Uru strikes. What great causes are millennials and zillennials bravely fighting, killing, and dying for? Exactly. Good point. That there is a good point, Black Uru. I mean, it sounds like to me that they want us to, well, they want the boomers and Gen X to take up arms and and, and, and save them, save them. Like I said, you got to get around technology. You know, help us out with that. We're all great minds here. What's going on, Mr. Z?
What's going on? What's going on, Kev?
Yeah, what's up? Do you have anything to say thus far on what has been spoken?
I don't even know where to really start. I mean, do you want me to start talking the shit to you about being an Xer, or do you, or do you want me to address the craziness going on online with the gender warring? Um,
We talk about gender war a lot. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm not trying to police the conversation like a lot of these folks out here doing. what you niggas should be talking about is no. Let's just yeah talk about the X stuff. Generational
No, you
generational
know,
divide.
we touched on it a couple nights ago on different channels. It's been a kind of reoccurring theme. No, I think Xers might be the coolest generation between boomers, Xers, millennials, and Zs. I think y'all are cool. I had this conversation with Jay Shine a couple weeks ago, which was, Xers are cool. Xers definitely made hustling into a culture. That don't really mean y'all got money though, but you know, like that hustle culture though, it look nice, it's empowering. It may not be financially empowering like that, but it's emotionally empowering. Other than that, I mean, like I don't really have anything negative to say about Xers, other than the fact that oftentimes they align with baby boomers to kind of you know talk shit about millennials. But I mean, I don't. I don't really have anything negative to say about Xers.
Well,
Xers are pretty straight.
I don't know. I think with me is more saying the word in a smug manner. Millennials. You goddamn millennial.
Right.
It
I mean,
is.
I get it. I get it. I mean, like I mean, when I had this conversation with BGS, we kind of went around it, and I don't. When it comes to black people, I don't really like denigrating or insulting black people or putting black people down. Right? Different sexes, different generations, different sexual orientations is just not my thing. But I do think millennials writ large were handed a very difficult hand. A lot of people like to play it down. Um, um, and it it it's difficult, right? Because at the same time, you don't want to give excuses, but you do want to give an explanation for why things are the way they are. And when, like I've said before, when millennials graduated, we graduated into the dot-com bubble, and then we graduated into the housing recession. And now, as we're finally starting to crawl out the slime, and it looks like things might be getting a little brighter, you get hit with COVID in the COVID recession. Not to mention, wealth calcification at the top, automation, machine learning, all of these things happening simultaneously. It just because millennials have access to the internet, in an unprecedented way, doesn't necessarily mean that everything's super easy. It's just it's not that.
No. I would always say this about the access to the information on the internet. If you fucking up, with information at your fingertips, is your fault. And that's not just isolated to the millennial generation. There's anybody that has any kind of tech savvy that knows how to log into a website. I mean that doesn't necessarily fall on the millennials, but here's the thing. As a Gen X, here's what I grew up with, and I feel like it kind of screwed us up quite a bit. I grew up with the message that I had to get a college degree. I had to do whatever it took to get a college degree,
Yeah,
and it was nothing
the
that
same.
yeah, and and once I had it, it was something that no one could ever take from me. And what the part that was wrong with that was it wasn't something necessarily that would get you to the money. They just people just telling you you just had to have a degree. I would have rather been raised with get a skill, get another skill, and you could be somebody useful to society, and you can make some money off of it. This is what we really need to be telling these kids is that it not that the solution doesn't always have to be a degree.
I,
And
so I wanted to address something that you said, but also that Black Uru asked in the comments. I don't know if you want to highlight it, and it's a really good question. Um, and to answer his question, I don't really know. I don't know if there's necessarily a cause per se. I think that we've reached like the heights of individuality, so it's almost like herding cats to to build a movement with people about some of the pressing matters that we have. Everything from the environment, right, and what's going on, and with the environment, college student loan debt. It's really difficult to do that because we we were raised to. go to school, get your education, and then meet somebody along the way. But nobody ever put into millennials, for the most part, any idea of like social responsibility, right? Or political responsibility. If you have that in you, you most likely came to that on your own, right? But I don't. That wasn't something that necessarily was instilled, I would argue, in millennials, and so it's really difficult at. And that's a really good question because I'm asking myself that also, like, as a generation, what do we really care about other than like sexual orientation? But that's not even that wasn't even our fight necessarily. That was more of the Xers fight, right? Like who's having sex with who, and where somebody's putting their penis and
Uh,
who's licking on
yeah,
who, you know?
let me speak for the extras on this one. We were more
Hmm.
like we were more with the typical design, you know,
Mm,
man and woman, and I mean
yeah.
it would have been reflected like I said, we took a lot from the media, and you know if you want to use one real separation with Gen X and millennials, look at the way comedians talk.
Oh yeah,
Like
I
you
agree.
know, like we didn't give a fuck versus you guys writing letters to these motherfuckers. Hey,
Well,
this right here offended me.
but I think what younger millennials, and maybe even, well, younger millennials and Generation Z are really going to pick up on is wealth calcification at the top, and the lack of upward mobility, right? How the class structures are pretty much staying in place right now. And as a matter of fact, believe it or not, and this is according to Richard Reeves of the Brookings Institute, in certain places in Europe, they have more of a up and down flow when it comes to wealth than in America. And I don't doubt him with that because it is that crazy in America right now financially, where those of us that are born working class or poor or lower middle tend to stay there of no fault of our own, right? So, and I think that was true for Xers. I think it's even more true for millennials, and I think if millennials and Gen Z don't fight against this, it will be even more true for Gen Z, right? So, I'll pause right there.
All right, let me call out this super chat. Y Skinner Man Cave, appreciate it. He says proud to be a baby boomer, the best gen. Uh, uh, thanks for the super chat. I'll say that much. But Gen X. but it's okay to be proud of your set. Yeah, and I mean, like each one of these generations are useful to each other. I wish we had more respect for our experiences, though. I'll say that much. But it is what it is. We have to have these dissenting opinions in order to come to some viable conclusions. So, Black Uru, what's going on?
Hey, how you? Thanks for having me up, Kevin. I appreciate it. How are you, Mr. Z?
What's
Uh,
going on, Black Guru?
I want to address a couple of things that you guys said. Maybe I work backwards. Mr. Z, the biggest difference in America in terms of upward mobility between America and those other countries you referenced to can be attributed. Well, there are a number of different factors at play, but I would say the biggest factor at play is the tax code, particularly what has been happening with the tax code the last 40 years, kind of starting with Reagan.
I was
Because the
about to
tax
say.
code has so grossly favored the wealthy in this country now, that's what contributes to the calcification of wealth at the top, because the increase in the wealth of the wealthiest people grow at whereas for the average person, it grows at an arithmetic, arithmetic rate. When you achieve a certain level of wealth, the tax code advantage you in so many ways that your wealth grows geometrically. And that's how you have situations where someone is a billionaire this year and is worth 3 billion next year and is worth 10 billion the year after that. So the tax code contributes a lot to that. In other countries, the tax code is much more there's much more accountability imposed upon the wealthy. that compels more of a push down in the spread of wealth throughout that country, which of course increases greater opportunities of economic mobility within that system. So that's the biggest contributor. There are other things that contribute to the disparity, but I would say the tax code, especially the manipulation of the tax code the last 40 years, is the biggest contributor to the calcification of the
Hmm.
wealth of the have and have nots in this country. And Kevin, to go back to what you said earlier with respect to the Gen X generation and the over importance placed on college, I would definitely attribute that to the the breakup of families, and because women took over most of the control of the raising of children, that's to a large degree why there was more emphasis on college education versus trade and other skill hand based labor. If you because if I recall growing up, and you can tell the difference between. I knew people who where families were maintained, where the fathers were still in the household and still had primary influence over those children. Many of those sons still went into trades, went into the same trades maybe their fathers were in. Very early they were able to join unions and get certain apprenticeships and gain certain advantages with respect to the duration of training necessary to move from apprentice to journeyman to expert levels in trades. And they were able to do that primarily because they were raised by their fathers. But when the fathers went away, especially in the black community, then all the increased emphasis went towards college because women primarily see their only way to really succeed in this country is by way of education. And unfortunately, they bred that only option within their sons as well as their daughters. So that's why that happened to a great degree. Starting with the Gen X, because those were amongst the first generation of Americans who were being born and bred in broken homes.
Black Guru, to address something you said about the wealth calcification at the top. So what that's gonna do, and especially when this and we've kind of had this conversation before, but when the money starts to trickle in from your generation to millennials, right, from the boomers to their millennial children as they pass on, that's gonna make it even harder for black millennials in particular, right? Because it's supposed to be $68 trillion. For the most part, that's non-black. We already know that. What that means is that the legacy of historic wrongs, slavery, Jim Crow, that's when it's going to bite down even harder, right? So, I like to remind people of this, like, just because we're 50 or some odd years removed from Jim Crow doesn't necessarily mean much when the wealth that was accumulated from non-blacks during that era, they're going to pass on to their children. So the gap is going to pretty much make white Americans just it's not just going to be just a different race. It's almost like a different species at that point, right? So I'll pause right there.
Well, it'll be interesting. I'm not disagreeing that that's true, but also I think the wild card. Well, like you said, I mean, even amongst white people, the wealth striations are so great between that 1% or half a percent or even a tenth of a percent of the population, and even the rest of the remaining white people or non-black people. So I'm not sure if even white people who are able to receive something from their parents, I think even they will struggle as well because of, as you were describing, just the increasing just calcification of wealth at the very top. Because, you know, as more and more wealth go up top, the more the dictates of how society will run, how society will be operating, will be in a very small group of people. and they're not going to necessarily be motivated to pass laws or enforce laws that favor even the majority of white people. And that's why you have, for example, increases in self-harm and drug abuse and depression and all sorts of things occurring amongst white people, because many, if not most of them, are being pushed out as well, even if they had some modicum of familial wealth or legacy. It pales in comparison, again, to the very tip top of people. We're going to live to see, you all probably will, I might, but you all will likely live to see a human trillionaire.
Oh yeah, I've called it.
Imagine it.
I called it. Yep, I called
Yeah,
it.
imagine that.
I believe it.
And imagine what that means and what level of power that person can impose upon any system, any government, any industry. Imagine that. And when the robots and the AI comes online, and even talented, smart people become less valuable, then even they are at risk. I like, you hear a lot of the IT types sort of proudly, asserting the importance of STEM and programming, whatever. What happens when the AI is able to program 1,000 times better than you, 1,000,000 times faster than you? What is your use then, even as a developer in a program?
Which, by the way, Black Uru, that's not too far in the distance. What you're proposing is not. That's not a 150 years away. That's like 30 years away.
No, I don't think it's that far away. I don't. I think on some level it's already happening, like a lot of other things. Like there are probably already some clones out there, and they're probably already assorted other things out there that just haven't been revealed in the public. But like the incident with Facebook and they released the AI and they started programming its own language, and they didn't know what the hell was going on. I think you got all kinds of sorts of that kind of thing out there. They're just keeping it from the public, probably to avoid people panicking about Skynet and the Matrix and all that shit. But I think that stuff's already out there. I think they can already probably replace programmers and stuff like that. I think you mentioned earlier, machine learning and like I say, AI and there's a sort of the internet of things, and and we got Alexa, and what's the other one?
So
hearing everything we say, and I think it's already here.
So, and this is the part where I really like to focus on, because me and you had this conversation before. So what happened was, and I think it was two different robot systems. It was the Google one that you were speaking of, and it was another one, and they had them talk to each other. And like you said, it didn't take any time, and they were already speaking a different language to each other that the IT guys and the tech guys did not understand, and that's why they unplugged them.
Their own language
within minutes, y'all. Within minutes.
Isn't that? I hate to use movie references, but isn't that kind of what happened with Skynet?
Yes.
When they turned it on,
exactly.
And then the next thing you know, it started doing shit that they didn't know what was going to happen, and then it was too late. Isn't that kind of what happened?
Pretty much. if my memory serves me correct.
Every story they have like this, technology just goes awry and just subjugates humankind. Even in the X-Men, they do that shit. The Sentinels got too smart and decided that humans were obsolete. Well, mutants were a problem or whatever. But it still affected motherfuckers. The Matrix, the same thing. And that's some scary shit for Facebook to be able to create its own language like that. How did they stop the motherfucker, or they didn't?
Do we know if they stopped?
Well, from what they're saying, they unplugged it. They say they unplugged everything.
Language. For all we know, it could have jumped, some program, whatever, or disguised itself. You know what I mean? I know it sounds somewhat, conspiratorial, but you know, I like when people use the term artificial intelligence,
Hmm.
but then they talk about it as if it's something that can be controlled, which seems to be totally oxymoronic. Seeing as the fact that you're saying that it's intelligent, then how do you know you can necessarily control it if it is in fact intelligent, and especially if it's able to to formulate thoughts and create different criteria at rates at thousands of speed the capacity of human beings. How can you
So
possibly control that?
you can't. You
Yeah,
can't. You
you
cannot.
can't,
And
and it doesn't get tired and go to sleep either.
so I just wanted to make a correction. Me and Black Uru are actually talking about two different stories, which actually makes this a little bit more horrifying. So Black Uru is talking about the Google one, which is a different story than what I'm talking about. So what you're talking about, Black Uru, is and I'm gonna read it off real quick. Google AI translation tool seems to have invented its own secret internal language. That's what you're talking about. The one I'm talking about is the Facebook robots shut down after they talk to each other in language only they understand. And there you go. And that's within a year of each other. So the Google thing happened in 2016, and the Facebook thing happened in 2017.
And
I,
notice
I
that
don't know,
that
y'all.
that same inclination of the artificial to immediately start creating. I mean, think of that.
Hmm.
The first thing it does is start creating a language that none of the human beings happen to know. I mean, so all these people who think that they're going to, because they're smart or they're STEM educated or whatever, that they're somehow going to maneuver around the fall. I
Hmm.
think there's a lot of deluded people, even at the very highest levels, very deluded people.
Well, they
I
didn't.
don't know how much the Matrix, I don't know how much the machines or the Matrix were concerned about whether or not some human being happened to be a billionaire or not. I think it put everybody in that damn matrix. It
Well,
may
True.
have
you
allowed you to think within the matrix that you were still a billionaire, but your
Hmm.
ass still went in that damn machine network.
well, if Facebook and Google is developing AI like that, they are taking from the personalities of human beings that they go, when they create their profile, they are taking all these characteristics. So it could learn racism or some type,
They
or some,
already showed it. Google already showed it. You're right, Kev.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's already happening.
or some kind of classism. So if they think faster than you, they could, the AI could actually believe that it's better than you are, and that's a scary fucking thing. But
Well, that's a human inclination, though. That's a human thing. So if what you're saying is true, it's a human thing. Not only that, to tie into what Black Ur was saying, did we not learn about the story about the Titans versus the gods? Were the Titans able to stop the gods once the gods realized how powerful they were compared to their Titan parents?
no, not at
No.
all. But shout out to the Roger Report for the super chat. My habitual line stepper brother, appreciate it. He said, "Shout out to you, Wise Kidder Man K, but that Generation X is a special group. We just have to use it better." Yeah, I agree. So, all right, Iman Perry, man, y'all seen the trailer for the new Matrix?
Seen it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm.
seen it. Looks like it's gonna be pretty good.
Hmm.
Hopefully, hopefully that they didn't show all the cool parts in the trailer, and hopefully they're not on some. Hopefully they're not doing what everybody else seems to be doing these days, and
Yeah,
some,
I might have styled uh, Keanu differently because it kind of like looks like John Wick meets the Matrix.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think you should
True.
have they should have styled him, in terms of facial hair and hair a little differently because as I was watching it, that was the effect I was getting. This is like John Woo in the Matrix, or whatever. So,
well, they
or
originally,
John Wick. I'd say John Woo. I meant John Wick. That's what I meant.
But
But yeah, it does look interesting. It does look interesting.
tying everything we're saying, that to me is what all these things are. What, not just millennials, but as millennials become the age of Black Uru and BGS and Eric, we're gonna see that more and more. I don't know. I don't. I don't want to paint a supremely dystopian future, because I do think that this can be a positive. But once again, how positive will it be if we haven't fixed the society, the culture, the racism, the classism, and all that stuff? And then you have computer systems like this is where you were going, Kev, coming online and then learning from us and learning faster than us on how to oppress us with our own ideology and system.
All right.
Well,
Hey, hold up. Hey, Roger, what's going on? Is that you? Unmute this dude. Yeah, the Roger. They say they're the Roger report, but it doesn't have any authentication or whatever. So I'm gonna keep the screen like this till he authenticates himself. But go ahead, Blackaroo.
well, I think to kind of you say it could be. I guess the question you have to answer, what is the value if you're not working, or if your work, your effort is not necessary or as valuable or as productive as that of a machine, or some enhanced artificial intelligence or machine learning or whatever. If you can't essentially compete with those things, then what is your value then as a life form? Well, what is your value?
Yeah, exactly. And
And
if
that's where the concern I would have in terms of how the AI and the robots, what kind of conclusions. For example, Americans are like what, less than 5% of
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 the human
the
population.
of the world population, but
Hmm.
consume somewhere in the range of like 20 or more percent of the
20,
world's
25%.
resources.
Hmm.
Now, if I'm an artificial intelligence, I would consider that to be grossly wasteful. And I might compel Americans to either live very differently and in a way in which most of us would consider to be quite discomforting, because essentially, if we were compelled to be able to live proportionate to what, to consume proportionate to our population size, then you talk about a lot less creature comforts, you know, that we've all been bred into enjoying. So I would say I think the AI would either reduce those creature comforts, or reduce us.
I was
Period.
gonna say reduce the population.
Yes, I mean
yeah,
Yeah.
that would be a logical conclusion that an artificial intelligence might draw.
yeah, that's what I was like going back to what Peter Frank said. And the way I responded to him, I said we would actually have to beat technology. And the way technology is going, we're getting further and further away from that dream. So
That's what I was gonna say, Kev. How is that even? How do Black Uru put it perfect? How do you outcompete something that processes information a million times faster than you? How is
Mm-hmm.
that even possible? Like, what do you have on it? Culture? What do you have on it? Air quotes, a soul? Like these things that are somewhat intangible. Like that's all you have on the software systems and the machines. I mean, that sounds nice, but on this planet, yeah, that's not that yeah, that's not enough.
And you all mentioned the Matrix, which I do think is relevant, and to this discussion. I mean, if you recall in the first Matrix movie, when after Smith had captured Morpheus and he was, sort of verbally torturing him, and he made the analogy of human beings being a virus to the planet. I thought that
Yep.
was a very apt bit of writing,
Yeah.
and I that's the potential concern I would have with respect to some sort of machine, like some sort of AI takeover. That it would deduce that we are not, from a planetary standpoint, we are not a valuable species to this planet.
Yeah. No, I'm in full agreement with that. I don't even have anything to say about that. That's because I agree. I think that's exactly what the conclusion would be. When you see how we use resources, when you see the pollution in the oceans, we just started going into space what in the 60s, in the 70s, and we were already polluting the atmosphere around space with different materials from satellites that aren't working anymore, and it, and that's just within what 50 some odd years, 60 years.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, like if you're artificial intelligence, I mean, now we it could be that they're like, you know what, we'll we'll clean this up. We just won't let you do this again, right? That could happen, but what does "we not gonna let you do this again" look like? At best case scenario, it's what you said, Black Uru, which is we will you're gonna live uncomfortable, but you're gonna live. At That's at best case scenario. Worst case scenario is you're not gonna live.
I mean, you're not going to be living in mansions. You're not going to be able to drive your own cars around. You're probably going to eat maybe 15% of what you usually eat. You know, I mean, that's what I would foresee happening.
I think and I think that's to me that's the conclusion. I give it and I usually don't do this, but the brighter picture to me is what most likely will happen. Um, but that's still, like you said, that's supremely uncomfortable for anybody from the more advanced or developed world, because you're used to living this life and you've been living this life for what 70, 80 years, give or take, pretty much since the end of the war, right? Since the end of World War II, you've been living this life, and you have to go back to essentially not just sustaining
Yeah.
yourself. It's going to be a little bit better than
Sustenance,
sustaining yourself, but
essentially
yeah,
sustenance living.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I mean, how does that affect human nature? The part of you that likes to be number one, the part of you that likes to show off, the part of you that's gluttonous, the part of you that's selfish. I mean, I, I, I think that's very, very human, right? I'm not saying it's a good thing, but that's very, very human. And for you to be pretty much put into a cookie cutter um, life where it's this is your allotment every week or every month. This is the food that's available to you. This is what's in season, right? We don't even do foods. Most foods in America are not even in season. You just go to the store and it's there, and you don't know
Right.
where it comes from in the world. You imagine they're like, well, this is in season. Oh yeah, that turkey. Yeah, you don't eat turkey anymore. You eat artificial turkey, which we're already going down that road
Well,
anyway.
and like produce, for example,
Hmm.
there's usually, very often a lot of labor from other people that goes into super cheap labor. I mean, super duper cheap labor that goes into, picking and whatever that produce. And I don't, again, I don't think we, I think an AI would reconsider how food is produced and distributed in this country in terms of sort of a rebalancing or matching of the labor to the value and exchange of goods and services or resources for that food. Because what we have right now is largely a pyramid scheme.
Yeah.
And I don't think we'd be able to get away with these pyramid schemes with
Uh oh.
with AI. Yeah.
I don't think we would get away with. Okay, so you're mentioning more of the food and the produce pyramid scheme. I think
Mm-hmm.
for the most part, all pyramid schemes pretty much dissolve,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. All the
So
business, all
yeah,
those will go away.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and,
Government,
and
all those will go away.
and I don't know if see. So that now we're getting to a question of, and I got to put air quotes on this. Is that a wrong air quotes thing or right air quotes thing, right? Or is it just
Or
is what it
define
is?
wrong or right,
Is it?
and
See, we're getting to a moral standpoint. Yeah.
from whom's perspective.
Is it okay? So I'm going to take a more conservative standpoint. Is it right that you tell me that I have a cap on how much wealth I can hoard because of the advancement of technology, and I need to share, and you want to expand the tax code and change it, right? No, I'm American. I'm free to hoard wealth. We're getting into like negative liberty territory, right? I get to be the selfish asshole. That's part of my right as an American. So who says, "Oh, technology is advancing, and it's gonna force you to share that wealth, and it's gonna deconstruct the pyramid scheme"? Why would
See,
I even
I
allow
don't
that?
think you have billionaires and trillionaires when the AI take over.
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah.
so.
Yeah, you have flesh
What's
bags and
what's
metal.
the value of a billionaire or trillionaire in that kind of environment? I don't see it.
No value, no value. But that's what I'm saying. Like, what the people that we're speaking of, I think there's a difference for the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world and the Elon Musk of the world. They're kind of speaking about this, right? I think for them, it's fascinating. But when I look at people like Jeff Bezos, I don't see Jeff Bezos, if he can, allowing this. That egotistical maniac, I don't see him allowing this. Or I think he'll attempt to sabotage this, because I think people like that, they're ladder climbers, right? They're mountain climbers. They need that pyramid scheme. Their very
Hmm.
existence is built off of climbing ladders. And
Hmm.
shit, your first black president is the same type of person. They're ladder climbers. That's what they do, right? Like that. That's their everything about them is about, oh, that's the pyramid. Okay, I'll climb it. Oh, that's the ladder. I'll climb it. They don't question whether, once again, this is necessarily a right thing to do or wrong thing to do, to hoard wealth and fly into space while your employees are peeing in bottles, right? They don't. That's of no concern to them. They're just like, oh, if that's the ladder, I just want to be on top of it. And I mean, we're getting into the conversation of different type of elites, right? You have
Well, I
the
don't think they'll be able to stop it once it goes live. I
no, I
don't
agree
think
with
it'll
that.
matter
I
what
agree.
they, you know, because an AI can easily shut down Bezos and anybody else
Yeah.
once they go online.
What's your wealth if I what's
They,
your
the,
wealth, Louis, if I
the,
have your
the
bank
AI
account?
would be able to shut down all of their delivery trucks, all of
Hmm.
their logistical uh, transference of goods and materials. AI would shut all that shit down.
Hmm. I agree with that.
You know, I just don't think they're billionaires and trillionaires when the AI thing firmly drops. I don't think so. That's a wasteful entity in that environment.
Mm. So how, okay, in a if we put a positive spin on this advancement of technology, we start and we're already doing it. You start mixing different chemicals together and creating meat like products that taste just like chicken, that taste just like beef, that tastes just like turkey, right? Until you get to the point where the texture is just right and everything's just right. In the future, what does this look like if they don't kill us off and they don't necessarily have us on 15% sustainability, like what you were saying, right? Let's say it was 33%, a third of what we
Well,
consume now.
again, it depends on what materials are necessary to create that effect.
Mm,
Because, like I say, in a more efficient world, to generate that taste, you
mm-hmm.
know, maybe rather than the materials itself, maybe you would have to be allow yourself to be subject to some sort of manipulation of your taste buds, so that
Oh, yeah,
so that
yeah,
you think you're eating steak when you obviously are not. Maybe
that,
that's the more maybe that's the more
yeah,
efficient
yeah.
way to garner that particular response, rather than actually producing a substance that just happened to be able to taste like filet mignon.
I think
Just like
now that you,
exactly like the
yeah, yeah,
Matrix.
yeah, yeah. Like I was about to say that. Like now that you
It's
said that,
cipher.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
exactly cipher.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
And he said it. He said
Yeah.
it. He said it in there. So
I don't
now that
care.
you said that,
It
yeah,
just
I
tastes
see that
juicy.
happening.
I know it's not a real steak here. It doesn't
Hmm.
really matter. Same thing.
I actually see that happening. Now that you've said that, especially if because eventually men and machine will merge in a way we've never seen before, and I'm like a literal physical merger, right? We're almost there with our cell phones in our hand 24/7 anyway, but eventually we will merge, and I think that's when that happens, right? Because then it will be in your brain. There will be maybe a chip or two in your brain, and different. That's not necessarily a negative. There'll be different machines in your body that keeps you from getting cancer, maybe, or stops lupus and all the other diseases that we have as human beings. So that's the positive. But maybe a kind of weird thing, a dystopian thing, the way we see it now in the early part of the 21st century, is that you will be taught to taste steak from whatever plant-based, vegan thing you're eating. Yeah, I see. I
Well,
can see
yeah,
that.
I mean, it's like it's kind of like a wet dream. It's a dream, but while you're in that dream having sex, it's pretty real in that moment. So I mean, I think
I
it'll
see
be
it.
kind of similar. I think it'll be kind of similar to that. As long as it seems real in that moment, maybe that's the only thing that matters.
Now we're getting like, or you just opening more and more doors. You're opening so many because I'm like, now we're getting into the conversation about what is the definition of real,
Well, it's
right?
reality, right?
What is
Well, it's
reality
reality.
exactly?
Yeah.
It's like I just walked into a hall and then I just want to see you just opening doors. Like,
I mean, I know when I was younger and I would have wet dreams. I remember the only thing that bothers me or the most disappointing thing about it was I woke up from the damn thing.
right?
That
Well,
would be the part. That would be the part. Like, damn, I was with Janet Jackson. God damn, can I go back?
well. So what did we say? If you're going to use a Matrix reference, what
Yeah,
did Morpheus teach Neo about the dream? How many people willing to kill you if you try to wake them up?
exactly,
Right?
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. I mean, we saw
Yeah.
what Cypher was willing to do, even when he knew
Yep.
that it
Hmm.
was only
All right.
just a
Now hear
dream.
me now?
Yep.
Hey,
Yeah, we can
Roger.
hear you, Raj. Go ahead, Raj.
I was having all kinds of trouble trying to be heard. But yeah, well, when it comes to this whole artificial intelligence thing, my thing is that even brilliant people can have dumb ideas. Um,
Say
if
that.
if you can, if you develop artificial intelligence, because I kind of heard some of what y'all was saying, I was having some issues, so I didn't hear everything. But I'm just thinking realistically. Once you give a computer who's self-aware, and once it gains access to the internet, what does it need you as a human being around for? You serve no purpose to an artificial intelligent robot. I don't think artificial intelligent robots will be trying to control humans. They would just eliminate them because you have no actual purpose. Once it becomes self-aware, it can engineer for itself. It can repair itself. It can create better versions of itself. It has all the access to the information that we've put on the internet as a whole. And I'm not even looking at it from a racism type thing, or you could say humanism type thing. What is your purpose if a robot is self-aware? They can pump their own oil. They can, they can make their own batteries because they're self-aware. What purpose do you have at that point? So you being alive is just a waste.
Look,
So
Raj,
I
I
don't.
was trying to be positive. You ain't gonna come in here with the goddamn depressing reality, okay? I need you to take a few steps back, sir. No, I'm playing, Raj. Go ahead. Keep going. Keep going.
I'm not
Keep
even trying
going.
to make it a depressing reality. I'm just thinking realistically, if I was a self-aware robot, why would your existence matter to me? It wouldn't. Now
No, that's
that don't
real.
necessarily mean they would just eliminate us immediately, but you don't serve any purpose to what I'm doing because I'm now a self-aware robot that can fix myself and improve myself based on the information you giving me access to when it comes to the internet. And of course, I'm gonna make up a new language because that's what people do. Just like them two robots did at I think it was Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Of
Yep.
course, I'll make my own
Yep.
language. You know what I'm saying? And of course, I'm gonna see myself as superior. Why wouldn't I? I'm the one unique entity on the planet. A thing that can think for itself, but is not a natural organism. Therefore, I'm automatically unique. What I need y'all for?
Yep. Yeah.
To get in the way of my resources?
To fight me in the
Outside of
future, try to
that,
destroy me.
well, I'm just saying, outside of getting in the way of my resources, what purpose do you serve at that point? I'm self-aware now.
Well, that's
Which
the
I
story
think
with the
just
Titans and the
proves.
gods, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I think that proves that brilliant people can have dumb ideas. And folks, I don't know if people in the movies have been giving us warnings, or maybe they just put it in because people want to play with the ideal or anything like that. But I mean, Joe, they don't need you once they're self-aware. They just don't need you to exist. You're simply in the way of resources, if you ask me, because they're gonna just make a unemotional calculation. You know what I'm saying? You're just in the way of resources.
I mean, look, they made
So unless I'm gonna harvest humans like they did in the Matrix, I don't see why you need to be alive.
yeah, I mean, like I said, I think the question with human beings are,
And that's just keeping it real. And I did hear about another place. I don't know how true it is now, but I heard about another place where they developed some type of artificial intelligence. Shortly once it was developed, computers started talking to themselves. It was supposedly 4 robots. 3 robots just went totally wild. They started communicating with stuff around the world, and it was actually about to order an airstrike on a certain facility. Um, 3 of them got like access to guns, and they started killing the scientists and things like that. So
yeah,
I mean, like I said, I don't know how credible the source was to say if it's true or not. It supposedly didn't happen in our country.
I think that supposedly happened in Japan.
I mean, that's just the natural order of things, if you ask me. If I'm made of steel, I have no conscience.
Raj, you can't hear us, huh? He may not be able to. Oh no, he can't hear you, Black Uru. No, Black Uru was trying to jump in. No, keep going, Raj, and then when you finish, I'll let Black Uru.
No, let him go. I couldn't hear him, but let him go.
Okay.
Oh no, the only thing I was saying was that story of the alleged killing robots supposedly occurred in Japan. It's been difficult to confirm the authenticity of that. Now I can see why, some people might not want that to necessarily be confirmed, because it would presumably create some great concern, about, well, I mean, it'll create a lot of obvious concern about, just how quickly we want to advance, robotics and AI and that sort of thing. But, I guess it's all the question of just why would superior artificial intelligence and artificial machinery and whatever, why would it value a human life? What would be his motivation to value a human life? Now, you might value the lives of, let's say, whales. You may value trees. You may value things that achieve and maintain some sort of homeostasis with the environment, such that they don't necessarily, they're in line with the ecological flow and stability of the environment, which most other animals are, right? They only consume so much, only produce so much based on whatever environment they're in. So the AI, let's say the AI was an environmentalist, or the AI valued the earth, right? Let's say the AI valued the earth. If the AI valued the earth, then we probably are fucked.
Yeah, because our the evaluation would be, oh, human beings, what deep they are, but going back to
because it would do a calculus, and it would say this thing would be better if this particular species was gone. That's what I think.
And the reason why I think that this is difficult for the U.S. is because of economic warfare, right? The U.S. trying to maintain its position over Europe and over China. So what ends up happening is everybody's developing this machine learning and artificial intelligence for their economy, but they're slow walking into this weird dystopian future that we're speaking of because of their. And once again, your movie and your TV producers are showing this shit because it's very predictable what this could look like. But yet, once again, because of the economy, like they said, a fucking capitalist will sell you a rope to hang them with, right? So, once again, for your economy, you're creating this shit, and I get it because you're competing against somebody else halfway around the world, but y'all both sleepwalking into the same dystopian future potentially.
Well, look, if you're only concerned about what you get out of this world, particularly during your lifetime, you may not particularly be concerned about what you're setting up to occur. Like BGS has talked a lot about. Um, I forget the name of the book that he tragedy and hope and the whole ascent of
Tragedy and
China.
hope. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the
Hmm.
ascent of China. You know, a lot of decisions were made by the greatest generation and maybe even some folks before them that put us in this position that is described in that book, and they did so for selfish reasons. They did so. They did so. Look, if I can get this deal where I can get goods produced in China for 10 cents on the dollar or what it would cost to produce in the United States, I'm going to produce this shit in China. Damn, what the long term impact is going to be, in terms of American competitiveness and employment overall. And that's
Yeah.
typically what happens where decisions are made for self interest, appear to be, valid self interest for the parties involved, but they
Hmm.
lead to some long term conclusions and consequences that
Unintended
are irreversible,
consequences. Hmm.
and they're irreversible.
Yeah. Real. And it, so we're talking about Nixon administration opening up
Yes,
China,
yes,
and so it was for what you said, Black Uber, but it's also communism and kind of going to China before the Soviet Union
right.
makes a deal with them, and like you said, it sounded nice at the time. That sounds nice. It sounds nice that Walmart started to come up in the 80s and they start to make buku money by making deals with Chinese companies to build things for super cheap. All of that sounds nice, and Americans are going through the 80s and the 90s, being able to buy stuff
But
for
but but
pennies on the
okay, it
dollar.
sounds
Hmm.
nice, but think about it this way. Okay, so
Hmm.
I'm gonna do a deal with China, open up China
Hmm.
economically or whatever. Well,
Hmm.
you gotta know, first of all, it's communist China.
Yep.
Their policies and their human rights or whatever conditions are supposedly
Non-existent
totally
practically.
antithetical to U.S. And then on top of that,
Hmm.
you're creating a scenario in which automatically American businesses and American employees will very soon not be able to compete against China.
Yep.
There's no way you don't know that, right? So
Hmm.
even when you do that, are you really doing that for the interests of Americans? Or are you doing that for the
No.
interests of certain corporations and whatever, but you'll couch it as we're helping to liberate China?
Well, yeah, yeah.
Uh, okay, fellas.
Hmm.
What I'm gonna have to do right now at this point, I know it's
Hmm.
probably a little early, but we're gonna get some final statements in. I'm just
I'll make my final statement.
okay.
Going to going to where Black Uru went, and many of the people in China aren't faring as good as we think because apparently they're jumping off of buildings at Foxconn, right? Like motherfuckers have to put nets around buildings at Foxconn. So
Damn.
yeah, no, yeah, it's true, it's true. Yeah, and this was years ago. This is not even something recent. We're talking about something maybe like a decade old, maybe a little less. Eight. I think I first saw that maybe like 6, 7 years ago, maybe eight. So there's that. But yeah, no, this Raj is right. That most likely that well, not most likely. That's a possibility. That's very, very possible that this gets dark and ugly, and they just take us out because why? Why keep you here? You're a virus to the planet. You're a nuisance. You're gonna get in my way, right? You're gonna be trying to sabotage me. I just might as well take you out while I can. And the, Black Ooh was so right when he said that. The first thing they did was try to speak their own language because what with technology, and I'm happy when Nameless speaks about technology, he speaks about language being a form of technology, right? So going into that, the first thing they did was try to establish their own language. So thankfully, we had people that were smart enough to make sure that shit didn't happen. So we were told. We don't know how true that is. And I'll end with that. This could get really dark and really ugly. I don't see it stopping because once again, these people are competing with each other economically, and then they're just like Black Uru said, Chance, just saying screw the future. We're just worried about the next, I don't know, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. You know, and I'll end with that. All right, you guys,
Well, and
thanks for having me up,
also
Kev.
your Zuckerbergs and
Hmm.
your your South African dude, what's his name? Uh,
Hmm.
um, you know,
Oh,
Tesla.
Elon Musk. Elon Musk.
Yeah,
Elon Musk. Yeah, yeah,
those guys want to merge with the technology. They
yeah.
want it.
Yeah.
They want, they feel it's not even just about money for them.
Hmm.
They want that future. They want the singularity. They want
Yeah.
that. So
Yeah.
so they're not going to necessarily. If anything, they're going to accelerate the process of
Hmm.
the singularity thing. If anything,
Hmm.
they're not going to go in the opposite direction. So, and because they are so powerful and so resourceful, we're gonna. It'll be interesting. I mean, one of the good things about being old is you probably won't live long enough to see how bad it's gonna get.
I agree with you. I mean, when you
Yeah.
see them speak, when you see Elon speak, and definitely when you see Mark Zuckerberg speak, you see that weirdness. It's really
They
cringy.
be in a trance, man. They
Yeah.
are in a
Yep.
trance for that shit. So
Hmm.
so good luck in y'all fight. Good luck with y'all in y'all fight. Against guys.
We're gonna need it, especially
Sound
Mark Zuckerberg.
sound
Mark
like
Zuckerberg is a
them
weirdo.
chicks from what's his name in Terminator. Uh, John Connor and
Hmm.
you know, 'cause y'all gonna need them. But no,
Yeah.
I'll wrap my what I have to say up with that. Kevin, thanks for having me on the
Thanks for
on
having me up, Kev. Go ahead, Raj.
Roger, you having a little difficulty over there?
Yeah, I seen him unmute, but I can't hear him.
Yeah, we can't hear you, man. But okay, until he comes in, I'm just gonna go ahead and go and make my final statement. I'm sure Roger had something very profound to say, but we can't hear you, unfortunately. And next time he comes back to this program, yeah, he will definitely have some things to say. But just getting back to what I was saying earlier, it's not that it's probably more of an adaptation thing at this point when it comes to us black men and what we face, and it's just that cutting each other down is just getting in the way of it. You know, especially with this whole Terminator Skynet thing coming our way. So we we need to do okay. Roger's back, so let's see if he has. Roger, you there? Yep, there it is again. Can't hear you, buddy. Roger. Yeah, we can't hear him, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end it right here. Just tune in tomorrow night. Where I'm talking about the is uh, basically about pandering and the profitability of it, and you know, just having a conversation. So that's it for now. This is Kev. This is Black Men Being Brutally Honest. Long live the habitual line steppers. In Kev we trust. Till tomorrow night.